It's a common enough sight, a life in danger. A man on night shift stumbles against a machine. A woman wakens with agonizing chest pains. A car skids and crashes. Whatever the reason, the end result is a common enough sight. All too often, it's the prelude to the end of a life, to the easy act of dying. For all the millions who believe devoutly in an afterlife, a life after death, this sort of thing can well be no more than a prelude, a staging point on the way to an immortal hereafter. But what about the others? The ones who see dying as an intermission, those who believe in a life after life. What about those who claim a previous existence here on Earth? The ones like these.
Oh, my chest. Oh, my chest. Oh.
It was freezing cold.
I laid down on the couch. I wasn't feeling too good.
And I took a chill.
I was coughing.
I died.
There are people who are alive now and who, under hypnosis, claim that they have been dead.
Try to pick my body up to get it moving, so we could go and find Papa. That wouldn't move. It felt cold and funny.
I felt myself being drawn away from there. No reason to stay. It's like I'm being lifted. And I'm being drawn towards a very bright light.
And I just wanted to go to the light. And we went fast towards the light. And when we came out at the end, it was all white and bright.
It's so green. The greenest green. I've never seen green so green. And the flowers look so bright. Like they've all been polished.
I'm in a garden. There are people sitting nearby. And then there's someone coming to meet me.
I want to know what's happened, what's happened.
And she took me to a big white building.
She tells me to rest.
He smiled at me and said, "You died, sweetheart. You died."
And went where? To heaven? The classic picture of a beautiful place and a golden afterlife? Or into some limbo, a pause, a breath of death between one mortal life and another, before reincarnation?
I didn't believe in reincarnation. And the prospect of doing research about it and finding out for myself, if for no one else, an answer one way or another, to me was very interesting. But
Jenny Green, mother of two, a migrant to Australia from England. Until she began hypnotherapy, she had never thought she had a past life.
I suppose different attitudes to things. Perhaps I look at things slightly differently now.
We go.
And this is Helen Pickering, housewife and mother. In deep hypnotic trance, she appears to relive the life of a man, Dr. James Burns of Scotland.
Like a cool drink?
And another Australian housewife is Cynthia Henderson. Under hypnosis, she says she was Amélie de Chauville of Normandy in France 200 years ago. And Gwen MacDonald, who's never been out of her home state of New South Wales, but who, in trance, claims to have lived as Rose Duncan of Somerset, England, at the time of the American War of Independence. 4 ordinary women sharing one extraordinary thing, the feeling that they've lived before. Now, how can you prove that? We decided to try something never done before. We would take each woman back physically to where she said she had lived an earlier life and film and record what happened with witnesses. But why these women? None of them claimed big things. None said she'd been famous or notorious, only that there were memories, in detail. The man who helped them remember is Peter Ramster, a hypnotherapist with 7 years of intensive research into reincarnation, an interest stemming from his work in the broad field of analytical therapy. From more than 1,000 case histories, they were selected because they're ordinary people, claiming ordinary past lives, and because their stories could be checked.
I actually got onto the research program when he discovered that I apparently had a past life in Scotland as a doctor, and he was most interested in researching that because it could be verified.
I've got mixed feelings. I'm not worried about it at all, but I feel a little bit excited, and it'll be absolutely wonderful and fantastic if we do dig up any information that can prove to me as much as to anybody else, that I really was there once.
I just can't wait to get there to see if everything is exactly as I see it in my mind. This is the part I'm looking forward to.
Half of me is interested and would like to see it, and the other half of me says no. I'm not sure. Maybe better not.
We weren't sure either, but we knew that we wanted to find out. The first step was to examine exhaustively the stories the 4 women told under hypnosis, and then to take a long stride ahead of them and go to Europe. And there we began the complex, disturbing, and often frustrating search through old documents and fading manuscripts and crumbling registers, the painstaking detective work of accurate research. We wanted to track and pin down whatever facts we could find before flying our subjects out of Australia. They were excited and nervous as we made the final checks, careful and extensive checks to be sure they had not, in this life, traveled where we were going. We were taking them a long way, more than 15,000 miles to the far side of the world. Peter Ramster gave each of our subjects the post-hypnotic suggestion that she would recognize the place of her earlier life, and he was to travel with us all the way. Jenny Green had never been to Germany. Cynthia Henderson had never been to France. Helen Pickering had been to the United States, but not to Britain. And Gwen MacDonald had lived all her life in New South Wales, Australia. This journey was to take us and them into a territory which needs no passports, where the borderline is between life and life again. The city of Alençon in France. This fine modern building houses historical records. And here, work was begun by an independent witness, a devout Catholic, skeptical about reincarnation. This is Antoine Le Breton, and he was given tapes and transcripts of what Cynthia Henderson had said of her past life while she was under hypnosis in Australia. Guided by them and doubting.
Should you tell me where you live?
The chateau.